Hi, welcome to One Eye on the Page. I am Scott. It is another vlog week. I finished 5 books. Let's go. So at the beginning of September, I started the Tolkien Readathon where I followed the path of Samwise Gamgee, which required me to read 13 different books. Going into the last week, I think I was on a good reading pace, but I still had several books to complete it, but I did make it to Mordor. We did throw the ring in there. Had to have Frodo's finger bitten off because he couldn't do it himself, but it's there. So, 5 books I completed. Let's go ahead and go over those. Book number 1 is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Quite a popular book. I've never read it before. Basically, a woman riding on a train goes past the street that she used to live on when she was married to her husband. They're no longer married because of the ability for her to have children caused problems, plus her alcoholism. She sees a couple in a different house and she basically identifies with them, gives them names, and basically builds a story for them in her head. And then one day she sees something that's wrong, and then we get the perspective from 3 different women: the woman on the train, the woman that she saw. She calls her Jess. I'm blanking on her name. I don't know if it says, yeah, it doesn't say here on the back. Thinking Megan, and another woman, Anna, her relationship to everything I won't give because I don't want to spoil anything. But we're basically getting the perspectives of 3 different women. And what happens in Rachel, the woman on the train, tries to essentially play detective, which I have to say, people playing detective who are not actually detectives and who do not have any penchant for being a detective kind of annoys me, but I'm like, okay, it's fine. I I, I really like Rachel's parts after I got past her doing things that I think are stupid, but just because I think they're stupid doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean that they don't make sense that she does them. I really liked her parts. The majority of it is from her perspective. I liked it well enough. I will say that the rating I'm giving this is in a small part because although I finished it earlier in the week, I didn't rate it until yesterday, and that's after I read another book. And me having that other book in comparison to this book raised this up a little bit in my eyes. So I'm giving it a 3.5. I think it's possible that it would have been a 3 before, but because it's sitting next to this other book, it just goes up a little bit higher. It's a fun book. The big reason that I would brought it down, I know who the person at the center of this was, like almost from the get go. It's kind of like, no, it couldn't be anybody else. It just couldn't. It wouldn't make sense with all these perspectives if it was anybody else. So I knew it was coming. I knew what that person was doing before it was spelled out to me. And I do not think that I'm no Hercule Poirot. I'm not a master detective. No little gray cells working here. It was a simple solution. Any dummy could have figured it out, I think. The next book I read, and the book I'm talking about that I'm comparing to, that will be our last book that we talk about. Next book I read is by Gail Honeyman. It is Eleanor, Oliphant is perfectly fine. This one's interesting. It took me a while to get into because Eleanor is not an easy person to like. I mean, there are reasons for that, and it makes sense. It's really hard to do. Eleanor basically is just going through life. I will say, even though the author has said that Eleanor is not, she comes across as, I would guess, on the autism spectrum, but she is not, according to the author. There are reasons for this. Whether or not those reasons make sense for how she acts, it is up to you. I'm not an expert in it. It felt perfectly fine to me, but perhaps people who experience the autism spectrum or what Eleanor experiences may say it doesn't make any sense and they know much better than I do. But basically, something happened to her in the past. She has scars on her face. We don't know why at the beginning. She is fallen for a musician that she hasn't really met. She's decided that he's her soulmate. There is an IT guy at her office who's a bit of a slob, and they keep somehow ending up together. One thing I will say that I do like about this book, and I guess it's a bit of a spoiler, but it's a platonic friendship, and I like that every once in a while there's just a relationship that's strong, but it's platonic. It doesn't have to be every time, but I appreciate when it does happen. I like Eleanor's journey that she goes on through this. What happens to her, what happened to her, I expected and I also didn't expect. I saw some of it coming and then I was surprised. By other parts, I think it's a very good novel. Um, you will see on here that this is a book that was in Reese Witherspoon's book club. What, like, okay, but it says incredibly funny. It is humorous, but if you're going into this for a good laugh, probably not the book for you. The humor is incidental, and it's largely based on Eleanor's interactions with people. But this is really more of a devastating novel, I would say. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. Part of it is just reading this is a little bit like watching The Office. There's just a lot of cringe scenes, and I don't handle those scenes well. I can read them, I can watch them, but I always kind of do it like this, so it takes me a little bit longer. But a very good novel. Book number 3. Book number 3 is The Dog Stars by Peter Heller. Forgot how to say apocalyptic. It is a post-apocalyptic novel, basically a pandemic, like a super flu, like in The Stand. Lots of people are killed. This man is a pilot. His name's Hig. He's a pilot, so he flies around a lot. He is on a place with another man, and they basically watch each other's backs. He has a dog. This is written in 3 sections. The first section is highly emotionally manipulative. The second section introduces a woman, and the woman doesn't really have much to do besides, oh, she's got boobs. Which, I mean, it's like, oh, she's a doctor and she had her past and she's living there with her father and they've been by themselves for these 9 years. But, oh, she gives me a boner. That's all she is the equivalent of. There, there's very little that we get to see about her. I think we get to see more about her father, the person who he is, and he's in it less than she is. I did spoil you a little bit that he is her father, uh, Pops, not Hig. Um, but and although it improves, the writing at the beginning was very well. This man got an MFA through the Iowa Writers Workshop, and it feels like, oh yeah, this was written in an Iowa Writers Workshop. I there's a lot of good in this. Lots of people love it. I'm a minority opinion. Didn't like it. It's not the worst novel I read. It's not the worst novel I read this week, but it is a 2-star. Just no. I've mentioned before, I love to get emotionally manipulated. I don't like to feel myself being manipulated. And it was so fucking clumsy how it was manipulated. And then it it happened purely for the manipulation. And I didn't care. And no, that's not the most upset I'm gonna be. Book number 4. It's actually book number 5 that I finished, but I'm going to finish with the one book. It is Absent in the Spring, Agatha Christie. It is a book that she wrote as Mary Westmacott about a woman is on a train that gets stuck in the desert. She has to be at the way station for a few days. She starts to think about her relationship with her husband, her children, things that she thinks are. She actually remembers that they're actually different than they are. It's Agatha Christie writing about families, and there's not a murder involved. I don't like families, relationships, or marriages in Agatha Christie books. And it's like, usually it's like, okay, but that works with a murder, but there's no murder. It's just this boring ass woman with their boring ass husband and their boring ass children who are exactly like almost every other child or even adult child in other Agatha Christie books. Agatha Christie families are fucking creepy. So I don't care. It's not good. It's like, oh, another thing. It's like, oh, it's a Mary Westmacott book. I wonder if we're gonna go in the past and look at her life. Oh yeah, we are. 2 stars. That's not the book almost. Okay. Book number 5, which I finished 4th. It is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. Now I will say this first of all, that this, what I'm about to say, had no impact on my rating. I'm basing this solely on the book. But apparently this is, according to some people, I don't know, haven't read this side of the book, but it's basically almost the same exact book as The Last Mrs. Parrish. Don't know the author's name. I'll do a little thing up here. Has no impact on my rating. I'm just judging it based on this. A woman who, she's been in prison, she gets out, she has a job, she gets fired from that job. She doesn't tell her parole officer about it. So she's trying to get another job quickly, gets hired as a housemaid by a woman who then starts basically verbally and mentally abusing her. She gets, the maid gets closer to the husband, and there's a murder somewhere in this book. Somewhere in this book. Okay, I'm about to give you spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, just end the video now. End it now, because I'm going to give you spoilers, because this is my public service announcement for you. Do not read this book. Or read the book. Again, I'm in a minority on this one. This has a 4.34 rating on Goodreads, and it's just crazy to me. Okay, but spoilers. Okay. Millie sleeps with the husband. Millie sleeps with the husband because Nina, the wife, has basically arranged this. She has hired somebody who's been in prison for murder. Oh, she killed a guy who was SAing a friend of hers. And, you know, she has a history of reacting violently to men who take advantage of her or others, which it doesn't make any sense that she's sleeping with his husband now, or she's flirting with the gardener guy, Enzo. Enzo, oh, Who's Enzo? Oh, he's a big Italian guy. I know I speak English. Except he does speak English. Why does he act like he doesn't speak English? I don't really know. Oh, because he doesn't want to be hit on by women. Okay, whatever. I figure, oh, well, Enzo is working with Andrew, the husband. No, he's not. He's just a guy who's there, not for any particular reason. Oh, he had a sister who went through some bad stuff on her own, but not completely, it's not related at all to Andrew. So, okay. Uh, so Nina basically puts Millie in to take her place because Andrew's a psycho. He has special rules that you must follow. But oh, I mean, you can't let your blonde hair show your darker roots because then you'll be put in the attic for days upon days with just a couple of bottles of water and nothing else. And he'll manipulate he will manipulate it so it looks like that you tried to kill your daughter, and he's got connections with therapists, and he talks to all your friends, but he doesn't mind that you gain a bunch of weight. That's okay, even though he went batshit over the roots, and he doesn't mind that you're like gaslighting the housemaid because the housemaid is cute. So I guess he's going to re- replace her. And he's had a fiance before. Oh, the fiance is the daughter of the police chief, but the police chief who basically lets what happened at the end be kind of pushed under the rug, swept under the rug, even though Andrew's family, has connections. He can just do that. Very bad police department there. If you could just do that, and oh yeah, also the mom abused Andrew the same way, and Nina basically at the end of the novel pushes friends of hers. How does she have friends? Because Andrew has been, keeping her from most of her friends, but she has friends that she pushes Millie towards, I guess, so Millie can kill their husbands for them. Because, oh, yeah, Andrew decided to put Millie in the attic and she turned things around because Nina left a pepper spray in the room and she turned on it and basically tortured him the same way that he had been torturing Nina, but he died. Oh, and Nina is doing this to not only get herself out, but to protect her daughter. Her daughter's a shit. I mean, you're a bad parent, Nina. um, this is a horrible novel with characters not doing believable things, not acting reasonably, not. It's just it's it's a diuretic mess. It's just she just shit all over these pages. 0 stars. Lowest score I've given. It's worse than the solo art of not giving a fuck. It's worse than something fabulous. It's horrible. Sorry if I spoiled it for you, but I did warn you. I believe, and again, I'm a minority here. I believe I've done you a favor if I kept you away from this book. I was so angry reading this book because it didn't make any fucking sense. Characters just did stuff because the author felt they should do that when it didn't make any sense for the characters to do so. And also, people, stop being so dumb about technology. Oh, is Nina gaslighting you? Then fucking record her on the phone. Fucking spend 20, $30 and get a rudimentary camera to do that. Check your phone to see if it has a tracking app on it. People stop being stupid about technology in books. So that was my week. I enjoyed Eleanor, Oliphant, and the rest were eh. I've started a whole new set of books. Some of them you can see what I'm working on in my TBR, which I will show up here. Thank you for watching. Sorry I got a little upset, but those are bad books. First 0 star. Yeah. Please like and subscribe. Please comment. If you've read The Housemaid and you enjoy it, please feel free to explain why. Again, if you enjoy it, I'm glad for you. It just doesn't work for me. I know there are plenty of books that I love that other people don't, and that's all good. But I have got to stop reading thrillers because it does not work out for me. I will talk to you next time. Will you say goodbye? Nope, not gonna look at them. All right, ciao.